So these past two episodes of Ascendance of a Bookworm were both really solid, but for very different reasons. First episode we're going to be talking about today, it deals with Lutz and basically a family being torn apart to then honestly having a really solid message and resolution that made me feel quite happy, because Bookworm, it does have a lot of positive resolutions, but there's also a lot of times where you're just like, man, things are not working out well, especially now that we're kind of deep into religious territory, where you can just look at the orphanage by itself and see how well people are treated, and just, goddamn, there's a lot of scummy shit in this series. So it's nice to have a good, positive family outcome with Lutz and everything like that. And then with the latest episode, we have the complete opposite, which is more in line with what we've been seeing in Season 2, which is the whole retainer situation and getting two new ones, Wilma as well as Rosina, who, honestly, I like both of them once again. I like how you gave this, I thought it was going to be a lot different when what we got with this, I'm going to call it a harp, it just seems like a harp to me in a similar way. But I love how you have someone who basically seems very noble, very stuck up, but honestly, never really had a bitchy attitude. She definitely had a stuck up attitude, but nothing came across like she was putting you down because she thought she was better than you, but just in her previous situation, she was literally just someone who used her hands to play her instrument, and all the other things that could possibly break a nail or basically cause her hands to not be in tip-top shape, she was not having to do that. So I like how they went a complete different route with this type of character archetype that I really don't remember the last time I've seen something like her, where you have someone who's definitely stuck up and needs a wake-up call, but at the same time, you don't really think she's just a horrible person, but really she was just her previous master treated her very special and very kindly, and she just didn't realize that that's not how it's always going to be. So it's quite interesting to see both of these episodes, especially because I watched them back to back, because I make these reviews on Sunday usually, and not every Sunday I have time to do it, so sometimes you get the double reviews, which is now the second time it's happened for Season 2. But honestly, once again, binging these two, even though they're completely different feeling episodes, similar to when I was binging Season 1, but honestly a little bit even more, it just feels so good to see these stories connect because they're very different, but at the same time, there's this really interesting flow that I really like with Season 2. Now, I have seen a lot of people say that Season 2 isn't as memorable as Season 1 for them. I've seen quite a few people say that, and I can understand that because it does have a different feeling. It's more on the church, it's more on the retainers, and there's a little less inventions and things like that, and a little less family in terms of mind side than what we got in Season 1. But I'm a big fan of where Season 2 is going, and depending on how it continues and how it wraps up, I can see myself saying Season 2 is my favorite season out of the two. Now, that's a bold claim to some people because there is some distaste for this season. There's still a lot of love, don't get me wrong, it's still a very popular season, and just series overall, but still, there is definitely some people who think it's lost its magic, and only certain episodes like the latest ones really rekindled that lost magic. For me, I don't really think there's a specific reason why I like it. I just think all the characters that have been thrown our way, I'm just more intrigued with them than a lot of the Season 1 characters, and I love Mind's family. I love pretty much the supporting cast in general. Benno and just everyone like that, I love still seeing them, but the retainers are, I think, what makes it so special this season for me. And the fact that they're not going too fast with expanding the cast, and I think based on just what tracking sites have listed, I think we probably have all the retainers that we're going to get in this season, most likely. Maybe there could be a surprise down the line. But the fact that they didn't just drop us in with 5 new characters, we got a few, and it took a little bit of time to get them on board with Mind's kind of rulership, and her trying to understand what it is to be an actual leader, because she's a very nice girl who just gets pushed around very easily because she's so frail. Now we get 2 more characters, one of which we're learning that was basically is scared of men because of just sexual assault basically, and another who was kind of stuck up, but not so stuck up that you hated her, wanted to push her away, but rather just wanted to see her guided on the right path. It's going to be interesting to see both of their stories continue to flourish because honestly, as we've seen with this season, every retainer becomes someone you really like to watch, or at least that's how I felt. I mean, characters who I was like, this is a bratty boy, this is a stuck-up girl who basically wants to be a whore, why should I care? And then within an episode or two, I did care, and I'm really glad that they're now the ones saying you should get rid of the horrible retainer, why would we want them? Forgetting about how they were before Mind's guidance, so it was really nice to see all that. So I'm really liking the new additions here. I feel like they're not bloating the cast. It's definitely a large and meaty cast in terms of substance, in terms of its characters, but it doesn't feel like they always throw every character on screen, so you can have this little variety. It's almost like a grab bag of candies where you're like, okay, this scene, what are we gonna have? Okay, we're gonna have a harp, and we're gonna say Delia, why not you as well? It's really nice to have that. It gives it an interesting flow and taste, and just it does make it feel very different than season 1 because it's not as focused directly on the merchant side. Sure, you definitely get that with loots and things like that, but there isn't as much crafting. Sure, Mine wants to make a picture book for her kind of like future sibling. That's really cute and adorable, but there is a lot less. But the fact that we've kind of got a machinery going here, like a little warehouse and just workshop going, it makes a lot more sense to have the focus be more on the ideas and then kind of giving those ideas to another character rather than having mine going to a forest and try to make paper out of clay for basically 3 weeks on end. It makes a lot more sense. Obviously, it's different and it's perfectly fine to miss maybe how it was in season 1, but we couldn't just keep it exactly the same. And I'm liking the transition to make it a little more easy in the fact that she has financial banking, she can hire workers, all the little like grunt labor she no longer has to do, nor should she have ever done it because her body just cannot keep up with it. So it's nice to see that they're focusing more on the church, and I say this as someone who is non-religious. I just love church storylines in any sort of story, especially anime, and the fact that they're going with one where you have a character like Ferdinand, who I love. He's probably my favorite character in this entire series. I'm going to go as far to say that. He's someone who can be very oblivious to things, which has caused mine some pretty hard discomfort, but he's also someone who knows and I think believes in good things. I mean, just look at how he keeps giving mine like that little communication device so she wouldn't overtalk because she is a kid. Because from his point of view, yes, what she's saying may make sense, but you can't just take one side and do that. If they did that, then we would have had Lutz been given up to orphanage, and just like that would have ripped a family apart. But because he listened to both sides, he was able to get both sides of the picture and realizing that no, like his father was literally just saying, he was being hard about it, but he was saying, be a man and do your thing. If you're not going to listen to us, be proud and show us that you can accomplish this. If we would have just listened to mine, there would have been literally a family ripped apart, which is the last thing any of them wanted. That's why Benno kind of like broke off and said, okay, I'll make you a contract so you can still be my successor and I won't rip your family apart. It's really nice to see how his character is really, I no longer like have this like dark thoughts about him anymore. Maybe they could throw in an arc where like he's just a very scummy person, but for a while they were just making it very uneasy because the church in general is so uneasy, and you're like, what do you want to feel about Ferdinand? Do you want to trust him? Because sometimes what he says makes sense and it seems really nice, but then at other times he seems so blunt and cold. But he has to play a part to be the head priest, basically. And the fact that they go into that secret room so she can let out her thoughts and feelings without kind of like ears, peering in, and they would cause anyone issues. And the fact that he has to basically like, oh God, don't cry. People are going to think I made you cry, but she's like, it's happy tears. There's just a really cute dynamic being formed there, and I'm really excited to see where the relationship is going to go in the future, because honestly, it's one of the most interesting aspects that Bookworm has going for it. I think Bookworm's biggest strength is not its creation side, which was definitely a big aspect in season 1, the whole idea of trying to make things from basically the future in the past, and how would you create it and how would that get you filthy rich. That's still alive and well, just in a different coat of paint, a different car, you could say, in terms of what we were driving around. It's still there, it's just now in terms of like a warehouse and manufacturing kind of plant in a lot of ways, and the whole idea of like starting up new basically warehouses and things like that down the road. It's really nice, they still have that, but honestly, season 2, it feels like now that the cast has been established, you can do so much more in terms of its world mechanics, the whole idea of just like nobility and how people are going to try to really go after mine. And if she just seems like she's nothing more than a baby maker, that's what she's going to be seen as, and that's what she's going to be groomed as. But if she looks like nobility, if she acts like nobility, she'll be treated as an actual noble who should be loved and respected. It's really interesting how they go into those types of mechanics, or the mana mechanic and things like that. Like how you probably can't have a baby unless you have like similar mana and things like that. It's just, there's so many little things that happen, but then you can focus in on the retainer storylines, or you can focus in on Lutz's storyline with his broken family. And just like, it's so easy to look at things so tunnel vision, because even though our character was older when she died and now she's in a child's body, because she's in a child's body, she sometimes thinks like a child. And it's really nice how we can get so tunnel vision in saying, that makes sense. Give Lutz up for adoption. It makes total sense. Like, this is a good character, this is what he wants. Seems like his family's holding him back, but because we didn't take the time to listen to their side, they're loving parents. All they want is for their family to stay together, make sure that their son is doing what he believes in is right, and it's not some rash, dumb mistake. And based on just his acquaintances, it seems like they really do believe in him. That's all they ever wanted. And the fact that we were so tunnel vision into wanting to just give in to mine, it's like, I'm glad there's characters like Ferdinand who can be the deciding factor. And I didn't think I would ever say that about this character when we first got introduced to him, but honestly, at this point in time, I'm glad. Like, if he thought he needed to be put up for adoption, he would have, 100%. Like, this man has power. this church has power, and that's a frightening thought based on what we've seen in this church, but still, there's some good apples in the batch, and it's nice that now mine is one of those apples, just she has to basically grow up a little and kind of think things through a little more and hold on to the crystal when she wants to talk over people, because really she just needs to listen more than she needs to talk more often than not, and that's why it's so fantastic. I love that Bookworm has never been a show that tried to blow you away with flash. Like, sometimes, yeah, the static and just still frames can be a little jarring when you're just listening to music being played and all you see is a harp and it's just slowly panning down. Sure, that can be a little distracting, but just every time I look at these characters, the character designs are so fun and just so distinct from any fancy anime that I've seen in quite some time. And just the way they're written, the voice actors, it just feels like it hooks you not with flash, but with substance where it counts, which is most definitely the character writing and just the world building in general. This was a great 2 episodes here, and I don't know if I'll be doing 1 episode or 2 episode review next time I get up here for Bookworm, but this is one that I really enjoy reviewing, and every time I watch it, I just leave wishing I had the other episodes at my fingertips. But as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whether for the first episode that I discussed or the latest one, whatever you feel, and let me know. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, show your support. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't been around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.